Okay, we have the green bars, we have the live counters ticking up, so we should now be live. Which of course means welcome back to the Storytime Network. We are here with more Pirate Warriors 4. Not co-op at this time, right at this very moment, because Fuzzy has to do the tutorial. So I guess
I lost all my save data because I switched. Lost all my save data because I switched from Game Pass to Steam.
Which upgraded character do you want to see me play as, Jack?
Upgraded or unupgraded?
Upgraded, because I'm on the highest bounty mission, so I need to be upgraded.
Do the silliest boy.
Really?
Why not?
I've played him a lot.
Okay, do Carrot.
Just play the up. Just pick a character that you haven't played that much.
Sabo could be good since you haven't played him much.
Sabo's shit is the issue. That's the reason I haven't played him much, even though I've got him upgraded. He is shit.
Do Whitebeard then. You haven't played him in a while, right?
No, I've been playing Whitebeard a lot on my own time. Fuck it, I'll go with Jinbei.
Jinbei sounds like a good idea. Sorry, chat, you're outnumbered on this, unfortunately.
I have played Gear 5 Luffy so much. He is fun to play, to be fair. Very, very fun to play. He's probably the funnest character to play in this game.
Hey, when we do co-op, I will play him, because I've never played him.
Do you have the DLC?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
I don't normally buy DLC, but, like, the characters in the Character Pass 2 are probably worth getting for me.
No, they are all pretty good characters. I think of the ones released, Uta's probably the weakest.
Which is canon, probably.
She's not really much of a 1v1, not much of a direct physical fighter, to be fair.
That's what's happening.
戦場にはどんな花が似合うかな。口を開くな、耳障り。
So, before the stream, Fuzzy brought up that, out of all the supernovas, we know by far the least about good old Mad D Monk Rouge.
Because, yeah, he's fucking, what?
He's only shown up in the story a couple times, and the last time we saw him was at the tail end of Dressrosa while he was watching Kaido dive off of Sky Island. Which, I will admit, pretty metal introduction for Kaido, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
like, we know he's the only one who's Devil Fruit we don't know about.
I mean, we know vaguely what it does, but we don't know any, like,
We don't know
details.
its name.
Yeah.
I do find it funny, though, that Oda was like, oh yeah, I forgot to name Kid and Bonnie's Devil Fruit, so here it is, here they are in SPS answers. Because that is very much an Oda thing to do.
I thought it was... No, Jinbei is definitely still fun to play though.
That's good.
I think I played him a little bit before, and I think I felt he was a bit slow, but no, he's actually alright. There are definitely slower characters in the game. Right, time to spend some time wailing on Whitebeard. That's also a good point. How much of Jinbei's moveset did we know before this game came out?
I don't know.
No, he fought quite a bit in Impel Down. And
He did. In Impel Down and Marineford, he did fight.
Impel Down and Marineford, he did quite a bit. Like, it was mostly against jobbers, but even still, that's like.
He did take out Moria with one shot. To be fair. Speaking of whom, I don't think Moria's in this game.
No, he's not.
Which would mean he's the only warlord who isn't. Pretty sure. Because isn't Buggy in here?
Buggy is in here, yeah.
Yeah, and Weevil is the only other one who I don't think is in this. Which I can get skipping Weevil.
Yeah. I mean,
He's probably
speaking
just
of a man who's literally done nothing.
Yeah, no. I do find it hilarious that Oda hypes up the fuck out of Weevil, and then he just, like, has done almost... Then his introduction just kind of fell flat, and Oda has done very little with him. It is very funny.
Sidekick Whitebeard in the nuts.
Right.
I can now do Treasure Log. Is that the one where we've decided on doing?
I mean, that's where you can do, like, the, basically, like, side missions, rather than the story.
And how do you... Okay, well, I guess I gotta unlock Free Log. Now, how do I do that? You know what? If you wanna just, like, say let's not do co-op, I'll do the tutorials and we can do this another day.
I mean, we can still watch Bill playing color comments.
Yes,
while,
no, that's the idea.
Alright.
So, I have topics.
I have a couple topics too, but you go first.
No, you go first, because I have a lot more topics I was missing, so...
Okay. Well, the one topic that comes to mind... actually, let's talk a little bit more about One Piece first, you know. Keep on the theme we got started with the game of shows.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot to say at this point in our careers, because...
We have a lot, and we're doing a character stream, so yeah, I get it. At the same time, though, it's still fun to talk and speculate. Especially as the manga is still ongoing and there's more plot points. Like, did you see the... Did we talk recently about the whole potential Kizaru thing?
Which one?
The possibility of Kizaru flipping during Egghead.
I mean... The thing about character deaths, especially in One Piece, is like... they're not...
Well, no, it wouldn't be character death, it'd be him flipping, which is different.
Oh, okay, no. That I can kind of see. It might be interesting.
Because people are asking, like, who gave Luffy all that food?
Oh, that was definitely Kizaru. That was almost 100. I'm willing to bet money that was Kizaru.
The only other person it could feasibly be is Karibo, and no one wants to think it's Karibo. Because
Also,
fuck
wouldn't be much
Karibo.
point in it being Karibo.
He already did that during Wano. It'd be redundant for him to do it again.
Karibo had something to gain from that as well. There's like,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't just.
Also, is he still there? I thought he just like tricked off.
Last time we saw him, Zoro and Brook told him to go fuck off. And that's the last we've seen of him. It's been several chapters. Egghead's been a pretty convoluted arc. There's been a lot of shit going on.
It's
Well, there's been a
mostly the
lot of
flashback.
switching
Really?
around as well.
It's partially the flashbacks, partially just like the checking in at several other parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
Because there was like 4 different other locations that we went to. Yeah, there was
I mean, we had seen
Winter Island, Elbath,
we had
the
seen-
Revolutionaries plus Reverie flashback, and
Yeah.
Ololed. That's a lot of material. I get the feeling we'll be on Egghead for most of the rest of the arc.
Probably, yeah.
Like, we might get a couple flashbacks explaining things here and there before the arc ends, but yeah.
Most likely direction, though, is... I saw this on a comment on a certain website that shall not be named. The reason it will not be named is because it involves the high seas. But comment was, and this is something that I would love to see. Imagine what's his face gets Saturn gets knocked off of Egghead, and then is shown just casually swimming back.
Oh, so it'd be showing like, oh, it's not a devil fruit. He's actually just a straight up demon.
Yeah, I would find it very interesting if something along those lines happened.
That would be interesting. I don't know if Oda would go that direction, but it would be very interesting. What I've seen theorized is that Egghead will be the incident that gains the Straw Hat Grand Fleet infamy. Because the Straw Hats are going to have a hard time with an escape route as it is right now.
Imagine if
'Cause-
Barto just shows up, sans an arm.
That would be very funny. But yeah, no, like, it would be pretty wild if this is where the Grand Fleet comes into play, and this is the incident that gains them the infamy that was hinted at the end of Dressrosa.
I mean, they are kind of waiting for their
Moment in the sun.
Whitebeard moment, yes.
Yeah, the question is, who else would be allied crews with the Straw Hats? Because the Law Pirates and the Heart Pirates and the Kid Pirates have both been, you know, fucking wrecked. So they're not really in position to be allies right now.
They did get warped pretty hard, didn't they?
Law didn't get it as bad as Kid did, because holy fuck did Kid get absolutely destroyed.
Deservedly so, because he's kind of a dick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just think it's very funny. But yes, I do think that particular fight was hilariously one-sided in Shanks' favor.
As it should be. I mean, even pre-Wano, fucking Kid on his own got taken out by Not even Shanks. It was by Ben Beckman, wasn't it?
It's implied it was Beckman, yeah. Which, Ben Beckman is a gun specialist, so the implication that Ben Beckman used a gun to take off Kid's arm is wild to me.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that, yeah, Shanks's crew is definitely a whole quality over quantity type deal.
You say that, but Rockstar's in their crew.
To be fair,
maybe
Rockstar
he's
was
super strong.
Rockstar was a newbie, and he had a bounty similar to Luffy's first Grand Line bounty. So it's not like he was a weakling overall,
he's
just comparatively. And it's been 2 years since we saw him.
Yeah, he's just like kind of like, why is he even there?
You gotta have some people to fill out the crew. If it's just like 4 guys, it seems like a bit too small for like an actual Emperor crew, you know?
Again, quality over quantity. Like, the Straw Hat crew is probably the smallest crew, aren't they?
No,
Like,
they're not the
Emperor
smallest.
crew.
They're the smallest Emperor crew, probably.
This is just like, it's literally a group of friends and possibly their parents, occasionally. Their parents being, like...
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, like... I find it very funny that thus far we've gotten nothing about any, like, real major details concerning the...
Rouge.
No, the 5 planets.
5 Elders? You can just call them 5 Elders.
I'll do one mission with Gear 5 Luffy, and it'll be the, like, ultimate mission of the game.
Yes! Go full silly.
He's
Also, the
just a
anime
silly little
soundtrack-
guy.
Yeah. The anime soundtrack for Gear 5 is fucking great.
I mean, the anime is, in many ways, a complete mess. But it does, like, it's not a mess for lack of trying.
And sometimes they do go hard.
But yeah, I think the biggest issue with the One Piece anime is really that, because it's, an artifact of an older, more, like, an older, more, how shall we say, ineffective sort of time in the anime industry when it really came down to the big anime adaptations would just go on forever. And it would be non-seasonal, and it's just like, that is really what's hurt One Piece's anime the most. And it's like, I can understand, it came out in a time where that was sort of necessary. Right? Like, just for practical reasons, it was necessary for the really famous anime to be these insane long runners that were non-seasonal. Now, because of that, it is in a position where it literally does not make any sense that they still do it out of inertia. They're kind of like between a rock and a hard place, really.
Yep.
It's like, yes, it's a bad situation, but they've, first of all, sunk cost. Second of all, it's sort of just something they have to deal with now because they are like. I'm articulating this very poorly, but the gist of it is they dug too greedily and too deeply. Because that was the style at the time.
You know, another thing about recent stuff that I don't know if you've thought about this, but we haven't heard from what Drakesteel is for a while.
I mean, he's a member of Sword, so he's a cop.
No,
but he's like,
we know that, but like, we haven't seen him since he talked to Hawkins while the latter was dying.
he's probably dead
Drake? I don't
or
think
alive. I don't know. I'm not. Look, I'm full disclosure. I'm not particularly invested in him as a character. He exists. That's really.
Look,
All I can
dinosaur
say about
equals
him.
cool, so
Dinosaurs are kind of cool, but at the same time,
I mean,
he's not.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather find out about what Arush's deal is first.
that's
You know,
fair.
yeah. Like
I'm
really-
genuinely really interested in Arush.
Yep. Completely fair.
like.
Why is Buggy showing up this early? He's an Emperor of the Sea.
To
He shouldn't be with the
be fair, I'm
Warlords.
pretty sure this game was made while before Buggy became an
I know.
emperor.
Look. He's the people's emperor, okay? He doesn't need to show up so frequently.
Yep.
Oh, Mihawk there.
You know, it's wild to me though that we don't even have we didn't have Roger in the game before. I'm pretty sure he'll be third DLC.
That's the
Third wave,
implication, yeah.
But it's wild to me that we didn't have him before.
Roger's not very playable very often because he hasn't actually fought in any relevant capacity for most of the series.
We've only seen him fight once, and that was a brief clash with Whitebeard after he curb stomped Odin. So his
Yeah,
actual techniques are kind of a mystery.
Any fighting he does is going to be in flashback.
Yeah. Well, he's dead, so it kind of has to be.
Or is he?
It's kind of the premise of the story that he died.
Did Roger die?
You know, it was really unclear.
It would be really funny if he's just, like, it's not going to happen, and while I say it would be funny, it would actually be really stupid, but if he just, like, was waiting at, Laugh Tale and is just like, hey, what's up? Alive the whole time. Oh, where was I when my, son was being murdered? I had stuff to do. Ghost stuff. And I walked into it
yes.
anyway.
Anyways, this is a long and short way of getting around to topics.
Right.
So I was going to save this for actually, you know what? I'll save it for when we do Wolfenstein, because it'd be more appropriate for Wolfenstein.
Something about murdering Nazis?
Yes.
Always nice.
It's about how awful Nazis died.
I always love me a good Nazi murder.
I could go into it now if you want, but I think it would be more appropriate for Wolfenstein.
We can do it when we pop the Wolfenstein topic.
So I'm
But
just
yes,
gonna,
go ahead and-
just before we get started on the proper topics, I'd like to point out that Gear 5 Luffy has actually been buffed. Apparently.
Oh, God.
I mean, why not? It's like this is a single-player game for the most part. So what's like?
Balance is not really too much of a factor, yeah.
Yeah.
All that
Or
said,
should it
though,
be really?
it might need to be. But yes, go ahead and do your topic thing, Fuzzy.
Well, mine is mainly. Okay, I've got a few lined up.
Pick your poison.
And let me see. I think the first topic we should get into is the continuation of the one that we had a bit ago, which is the idea that, let's say, have person A, and for the purpose of illustration, let's call him Jessup. Jessup has an incredibly strong desire to eat human flesh. He doesn't act on these desires, because that would be not a very nice thing to do. But that doesn't change the fact that the desires are there. And so, the question becomes, and the reason he doesn't act on these desires is, well, one should think it's obvious, but it's, or the reason he doesn't go to anyone about these desires, rather, is because not fear of judgment, but rather fear of punishment, like being locked up, or something along those lines. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he is unable to be treated. So, what should Jessup do?
Keep those as a lid on those desires, because Jesus Christ.
No, but like, yes, but like, you know what I'm trying to say is that like, while he doesn't.
It's like extremely difficult to figure out a way to ethically consume that kind of thing.
Well, no, not even just consumption. It's just like, how should he seek help in a way that, how can we, as a society, make it easier for people like him to seek help?
I don't know. Destigmatize it as a topic, as a subject of therapy.
But like, I get that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's one of those things that kind of just automatically gets you
Institutionalized.
Yes, either institutionalized or just somehow it just automatically gets you in trouble for one reason or another. So how do you
It's a kind of a tricky thing.
I hope so. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be a particularly interesting conversation, would it? Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where, and I use eating human flesh because it's a very extreme example, but it doesn't have to be that, right? It can be any number of things that are perhaps unethical, but they're not necessarily the fault of anyone.
So, like a lot of
Because-
mental illnesses.
Yes. So you get into this issue where there are probably people who do crimes were avoidable, but they were not avoided because they weren't able to seek help.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just reached a breaking point. So, mental illness is the most obvious of these, but it's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just one of those situations where if you are just legitimately in that situation without actually like you're not malicious by any stretch of the imagination, but the way life has turned out has essentially made it so you are stuck. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first little
Feel.
conversational mine hole. Mine hole? Minefield is what I meant to say, I think. And I said mine hole instead for some reason.
My hole is a bit of a weird one, yeah.
Hold on. I think I got a good response to this.
Ooh, my.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, it's valid. Oh my, it's not the worst part to use a place to use that. Yeah, I've got like a lot of topics lined up. That's one of them, certainly. I've got a couple more that I can definitely approach. For example, let me open my handy dandy notepad. Specifically, I have one for this topic specifically, for topics on the podcast specifically.
Okay, since this is topical, let me ask this. For what, at what point do you think the line needs to be drawn for, like, when the death penalty is considered, yeah, for the death penalty? Do you think it should just not be a thing, period, or do you think there are, like, specific cases in which it is necessary?
So, there's a number of angles that you can approach the death penalty from, and
Yep.
I think one of the more useful ones is the question of what is the purpose of the death penalty? What is the purpose of punishment? Or what is the purpose of any criminal activities comeuppance?
Generally, it's to both to punish someone who's committed a transgression, as well as to, you know, deter future transgressors from potentially transgressing in future. I don't believe it works in the latter case, but that's what the purported purpose is.
Yes, but so here's the thing. The purpose is to punish, then imprisonment is more of a punishment.
Oh yeah,
So then
I agree.
then what you ask is, who is the death penalty for? Is it for the purpose of doing something to the perpetrator, or is it for the victims?
In some cases, it's both. At least that's a thought.
And in the case where it is for the victims, that does somewhat change things. Because if it's for the victims, then you have to ask, what do they get out of seeing the person who harmed their loved ones die? What are they getting out of that? Are they getting catharsis? they getting like relief? Because like this is the case with Vengeance. Is the whole a lot of the time Revenge just leaves you feeling hollow. So the question becomes, really, what is the point of it? I think that's a more interesting place to approach the death penalty from than just the question of, is it ethical or unethical? Because the answer to that is just probably no, right? Like, the answer to, is it, like, okay, is probably no, not gonna lie. For a number of reasons. But if you approach it from the angle of, who is this for, why is this being done, then the question becomes a bit more ambiguous. That was a very long and winding non-answer, but it's
a very complicated issue.
It's a complex topic, so you can't really just give a...
I'm personally of the opinion that the death penalty should not exist. Just because, for a couple reasons. One, I don't think the government should have the right to, dictate what that someone should die, because that can lead to some very, very dangerous things.
Oh, no. That leads into an even more depressing conversation about the judicial system and the fact that judges probably have way more power than they should. Especially in consideration of the fact that judges, for the most part, are like, at least in America especially, judges are elected. They're not impartial.
Not all of
they
them,
have an agenda.
but a lot of them, yes.
Yeah, so anytime a judge has a political agenda for the judgments that they are passing, they are automatically disqualified from passing, like, fair, honest judgment. By design, right? That's how the concept of judgment works, is like, you have an agenda, then you're just not an unbiased judge. Like, you cannot... It's like, the idea of a judge is that they're supposed to be somewhat impartial, and for the most part, there's no way they can be. So it's just like, the existence of judges and juries... I don't have an alternative, obviously, because that's not how something like this works, and that's not how discussions like this work. But the problem with judges and juries and all of that stuff is primarily that, yes, they're going to have biases. Those biases are going to affect their judgment, and there are going to be cases where bad things happen that should not happen because of the judge's biases.
And failure to be impartial, yeah.
Yes. So, it's just one of those things where there isn't... I can't think of a good solution. I'm sure one exists. I can't think of a good solution, and it's just so difficult to...
The other thing is, there is often not just a chance, but a probability that at least several of the people who are convicted of crimes are, innocent.
Oh yeah, like, I've had, like, my past few semesters worth of courses have been exploring a lot of cases where, yeah, no, the legal system is just... one of the things that isn't shocking, but it is, like, somewhat surprising that I learned is that, we know cops.
Mm-hmm.
We, in this chat room, in this audience, in this stream have opinions on the police system, and those opinions are known, so I'm not going to rehash them.
Did you know that the police in America, at least the current system as it is, originates from slave catchers?
I did know that, and it should not surprise anyone.
Can I just interrupt for 2 seconds? What's the difference in these costumes for Berger?
I believe... I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, it's the beard. It's the beard.
Is it just the beard and the buttons?
It's literally that he has a little beard.
Christ,
Yeah.
okay.
Little soul patch is literally the only difference.
It's the goatee, yeah.
Second,
It's really funny.
Who do you want me to play?
Have you played as Buggy D Clown recently?
No, but I don't have him.
I was gonna say,
upgraded.
how about Ivankov? Isn't Ivankov pretty fun?
Also, don't have Ivankov upgraded.
How about a random one of the warlords?
Is there not a random button? Or, well, you know, you can,
Not really. I mean, I can just do this while not looking.
No,
live on a screen.
How about Yamato? Is Yamato any good? Or
Yamato's pretty
upgraded?
fun. Yeah.
Do Yamato, then. So yes, there is just so many problems with the police system, but what my recent course material has been teaching me is that police tunnel vision.
Oh, yeah.
Lot.
Yeah, because the whole thing
Comfortably
with,
high.
a lot of the problem with police is that they are artificially imposed with quotas that they need to meet for whatever fucking reason, even though that's, you know, incredibly
Makes
dumb and
literally no
dangerous.
sense. Yeah. No, it makes literally no sense. So yeah, it's like because police tunnel vision so much, right? They will focus in on the thing. And what I learned, and this is a cognitive gap that I had. I don't know if you guys have experienced this. Are you all familiar with the concept of an expert witness, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yes, I am familiar with that.
so the thing about expert witnesses, right? The whole point of them is they are called in during a case to sort of
To shore up a case.
oh what?
Yes.
One moment, please. I have to take a phone call.
Suda.
Your bestie.
Alright, Yonchi. I'm about to shove this club up your ass, the spiky end. How do you avoid that, Yonchi?
Devices real quick. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have learned that it is sometimes better for expert witnesses to not necessarily get certain reports from the investigators because they will unconsciously develop biases.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Well, that is how it works, but it's just like the examples are like they will unconsciously or consciously tailor their testimony based on the report they're given, regardless of the veracity.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of malice. So I'm like, Also, fun fact: y'all know that forensic science isn't, strictly speaking, a science in the sense that it's, while it does use the scientific method, there's very little regulation on what
Yeah.
is and what forensic science. There's basically no regulations or guidelines.
Yeah, that doesn't
So it's
shock me.
basically every person for themselves, basically. And so you can send the same evidence to, like, a number of different analysts, and they could give you different results. So, like, even something like the thing that is probably touted the most, that is not, like, just put into a computer, fingerprint identification, right? It's not. While there are computer help, there is computer help regarding that. A lot of the times, apparently, fingerprint analysis is done manually. Rather than, like, it's not like on TV where they just run it through a database that can, immaculately give you the perfect data and match. A lot of the time that's done manually, and what you essentially get is a person eyeballing it and be like, close enough. So what I'm saying is the legal system is just broken in every possible way. Like, it's broken top down, like bottom up, top down. It is broken at all levels of crime.
Yes, that is.
Literally starting from crime, because crime happens because of, in many large part, due to a broken system, poverty, and things like that. So, literally from the very root cause, it is a broken system.
Yes. In all too many ways.
So, on a... oh no. Oh, I have to change the topic. Because I was going to say on a lighter note, but the topic I'm coming up with is actually much... It's also very dark. So, on a lighter note, here's a question that you two might actually be able to answer for once, because it is directly related to us.
Okay.
Do you think a relationship would be better or worse if we all lived close by each other?
I don't know. That's good. I mean, it would allow us to meet up in person more often.
By more often, you mean at all?
Yes.
Because I don't think we've ever met in person. I think you met me.
Mill in person once.
Oh, right. Right. Okay.
AX.
Right. But yeah, so it's one of those things, right? It's just like, we do live in an increasingly digital age, and that does make communication possible. But there are there are differences between online. There are certain things you can only do in online communication, and there's certain things that you can only do in in-person stuff. And it's just like, it's not even major things like on an event basis. It's just like certain cues, things like body language, or things you can only do in person, and things like there's things like very specific word references and like visual gags tend to be only doable online. So it's like, So yeah, Mill, what do you think?
I honestly don't know. I think, it's possible we would probably, like, we may even stream more often, if we were in person.
Oh, we could stream from the same location, which would be interesting.
Yeah. But... I don't know if, proximity necessarily, results in closeness.
No, it might even like that's what my question is.
No, there's actual scientific studies that indicate that proximity is actually something that leads to more a closer relationship.
Yeah, because human beings are just like our brains still can't quite process in-person relationships as well as we can process long-distance ones.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you mean the other way
Like-
around?
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Look, we have established that my brain isn't the best.
We all have our brain issues. Don't worry, Fuzzy. It's fine.
I try and only bring it up when it sort of, you know, it's the opposite of the point.
Yes, no, that's... No, I'm like, I give you a free pass, just like, correct me whenever. You guys just like, it's assumed that I am going to make mistakes while speaking, so just like, correct me when it's relevant. But yeah, but at the same time, while it can lead to increased closeness, it also has, I think the thing is, it increases the intensity of emotion or like bonding, whether it's positive or negative. So there is a chance that if we all lived close by each other, we would actually like each other less.
It's possible.
Because it's one of those things that is like relatively, it's the proximity in and of itself is a multiplier, but it's a largely neutral multiplier in many ways. Because there are absolutely going to be times where you can tolerate someone online, but if you met them in person, you would just lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was more of an interesting thought provoker rather than a just depressing reminder that our society is fundamentally broken.
You don't need to remind us. We already know.
Speaking of depressing reminders that society is fundamentally broken, how familiar are y'all with the changeling folklore?
I'm pretty familiar. It's a very common thing in.
I mean, I did a course on folklore in Britain, so I should, or a module, I should say, so I should know something about it.
It's a pretty big thing in Irish folklore.
Yeah. You know what I learned recently?
What?
The fact that there's a very simple explanation for every story about changelings.
What?
Autism. The way that a lot of stories talk about changelings is actually very consistent with the onset of autism in children. Because it largely comes down to the child seems perfectly normal for a while, but then suddenly they just become different, they become more quiet or more mature than they perhaps should be, their behavior becomes different, and it's like, yeah, autism, even in autistic children, there's usually a starting point in the sense that their development is fairly typical until the age of like 1.5 to 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a very abrupt onset, or not onset because that's got connotations. There's just an abrupt change in behavior that is more true to presenting with autism, and it's just like a lot of the folklore concerning changelings can just be considered as autism begins presenting in children. Which, the reason this is awful is because awful things were done to changelings. Historically speaking.
In inverted commas, changelings.
Yes. So it's just like, ugh. I didn't know about this, but I was doom scrolling the other day and I just came across this Because you do come across fun things when doom scrolling, but like
Sometimes you do,
sometimes-
sometimes,
sometimes you just feel the call of the void and you gotta.
yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I powerbomb Diamante.
That does make me feel better.
But yes, what other folklore do you think could be explained by, oh wait, this was just a mental illness presenting?
A lot of seers, probably. Could probably be explained by, you know, psychosis. Oh, hold up. I'll be right back.
Do you think, the myths of the undead had anything to do with, Hansen's disease? Which is, I believe, the correct name for leprosy, which I think is not cool to say.
I wouldn't
Hello?
I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. Certainly. I mean, there's also just the, you know, there are phenomena of, you know, people appearing dead and then coming back to life in inverted commas.
Yeah, no, that just happens, right? Like, if someone's heart stops for a bit, or they're... Yeah, no, that is just something that can happen. So, it's one of those things where... That's more of a physical malady, but, like, there are definitely mental illnesses that can explain a lot of, folk stuff, but I've got some other topics, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to leave for a moment. So, Mill, fill the dead air. No pressure.
Oh boy. I mean, the big news that I saw was the wrestling news with Vince McMahon, which is, frankly, what was revealed was not surprising, but fucking hell, it's
What's going on now?
the court documents for a lawsuit that Vince McMahon is facing, or something like that, was released today, and it reveals a lot about Vince's behavior towards well, in this case, a certain woman, but probably women in general that he's hired in the last, you know, several decades, and it is horrible.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, I did tell you about that one podcast I was listening to that did a whole 6-parter on Vince McMahon, and it's like, yeah, something they covered was the very, very plausible account of him sexually assaulting someone whom he'd, you know, a woman he'd hired on. And it's believed that his treatment of her is one of the reasons Andre the Giant hated him so much. Because she was a friend of Andre's.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back, and I have some topics of conversation left in the tank.
Yep.
Do you want to go with the thought-provoking one, the more fun fact one, or the depressing one first?
Let's go with fun fact.
So, because of, anonymous comments and generally comments using usernames are a thing, right? Like, they've
Yeah.
been a thing since the advent of the internet, essentially. But the thing that most people don't realize is that people tend to have very noticeable tics in conversation. And their syntax and their speech patterns, and, like,
Yeah.
that's one of the primary identifiers with an anonymous comment. You don't really need hacking or any sort of IP tracing or anything like that. All you need to do is just have a big enough sample size, and one of the scary things is that, well, scary is not necessarily the right word. One of the troubling things is that, again, as with many things, with the advent of AI and large language models, it's going to be very easy for the average, like, after sufficient training, for an AI to pick an anonymous commenter's real identity out of the lineup, so to speak.
This is
As
fun
long
fact.
as they...
I feel like that's a ways away.
Not necessarily, because as long as you have... Well, obviously this is contingent on the large language model being fed a lot of data. But, like... Really,
I mean,
if
it's
you...
not just it being fed a lot of data, it's also it having, like, an effective enough algorithm to determine, you know, different speech patterns, or language patterns.
I feel like
Especially
language
given-
patterns are kind of one of the first things that get built, though.
Yeah, but a lot of people have very similar language patterns, is the thing. Like,
True,
not a
but
lot
I
of
do
people
still
have
think...
truly 100% unique speech patterns. There's, like,
Yeah.
broader patterns that a lot of people have in common, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I've just realized AI is the same as every other great leap in human technology, in that we are definitely going to use it for the worst things first.
Mm-hmm.
Which the most obvious example of that is, you know, nukes. Right? Like, nuclear energy is a lot more clean and sustainable than most people give it credit for, especially because even disposing of the waste, the reason it's seen as such a problem is because there's no real systematic methodology and location for it. But it is absolutely possible to dispose of the nuclear waste in a completely environmentally friendly fashion. And as with many things, the answer is mostly the Sahara Desert. Because, like,
You
as
know,
long as you...
Sahara Desert has more biodiversity than people give it credit for.
Well, yes, but in terms of human population, because
Yes.
that's the argument that comes the most, is, like, in terms of risk factor to humans, deserts are usually... Because even deserts that have tribal populations generally have large stretches without said populations.
Mm-hmm. And you can put signage up, just warning them away if you know if you know their language.
Yeah, so it is absolutely possible to dispose of it in a safe way. So basically, that's one of the examples. A lot of medical research did come from poisons. So, you know, it's basically that there's a lot of very, very good uses for artificial intelligence. And creative works is the single worst use for them.
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
that's the entire point, and yet that's the thing people are focusing on.
It's because our culture has, over the course of the past couple decades, you know, ingrained a much greater appreciation for STEM and a strong underappreciation, I think, for the humanities in our culture, especially
Yes and no.
in our education system.
Yes and no, because to a certain extent, there's also been an increase in mindless consumption
That as well, yes.
that of culture and art that has kind of taken a lot of the nuance and art out of art. So
A lot of
but
these
yeah.
fools don't have good reading comprehension. This is known.
But yeah, basically the idea is there's so many good things we could be doing with AI, and yet what we got is the crypto bros trying to replace artists with AI, which is just not gonna work.
Dipshit's
Right?
gonna dipshit.
Yeah, it's just like it's sure you might get an initial spike in revenue where you lay off all of your human workers and start churning out AI garbage, and people will still mindlessly consume it. But by the very nature of AI, because after a certain point, even the mindless consumption will get stale.
Yeah,
Right?
because
AI,
people will move on to something else that's better.
yeah, because mindless consumption works in part due to the human element knowing how to tweak things just enough to do it. And AI just isn't capable of that level of creativity, at least not yet, and probably never given until and unless we can make something that's actually sapient.
Which is unlikely given our current technological levels.
It's unlikely in our
And it's a
lifetimes, but
whole different nightmare to begin with, anyway.
yes, sapient AI is totally different. But like, as long as AI is built on neural network training, and there's not going to be any emergent phenomenon. An emergent phenomenon is the basis of human creativity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact. You know what? The problem with AI, the reason AI can't be creative is actually because it's too good.
Yeah, it's a copycat.
No, but yeah, in the sense that creativity kind of happens because our brains don't work right. Right? Because our brains aren't optimal or efficient. And as a result, it processes information and stimuli in a way that just leads to nonsense, and that nonsense is how we wrote the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. So it is the lack of just inefficient nonsense that is what means AI will never be as creative as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Dipshit's
gonna dipshit, though.
Yes, no, I know, but like, in the same way that you can't really intentionally make a movie that's so bad it's good.
No, there has to be soul in it.
Yeah, it happens by accident. And that sums up human creativity in a nutshell. AI is people trying to intentionally make movies so bad they're good. That's what it is. Even if you introduce inefficiencies, it's not going to work.
Exactly. For every The Room, there is, like, 50 just absolute garbage movies that work. Yeah, they're... Honestly, The Meg is fun enough. I think The Meg 2 is probably worse.
The Meg 2. Okay, yeah. Let's call it the Meg. Let's use The Meg 2 as the example.
Yeah, because The Meg, the first one, is fun. It's dumb, but it's fun.
But yeah, so that's my fun fact little thing, is just the fact that anonymous comments are more traceable than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even need any technology to do it, you just need good observational skills. Okay, so now, thought-provoking writing question, or thought-provoking ethics question, or the depressing one?
Let's get the depressing one out of the way.
How do you think you're gonna die?
Probably from either liver failure or heart disease.
Okay, a lot of people say heart disease.
Accident, that is.
Huh?
If I don't die in a car accident, that is. Statistically speaking, car accidents and heart disease are two of the leading causes of death in America.
Yeah, so do you think there's anything in your lifestyle specifically that could make another thing more statistically possible?
Well, the heart thing is due in part to family history
Yep.
family history, as well as just the fact that, I'm not the healthiest guy around. I'm trying to get better. I'm doing more cardio and everything. I'm trying to go to the gym more often, but it's not an easy process and it's not a quick process. And it's one I have to, overcome a lot of deeply ingrained habits to succeed in doing. But yeah, my cardiac health is not the best. As for liver failure, I'm not an alcoholic, but I do drink quite a bit. Part of the reason I go dry in January now is because I want to make sure I can actually keep off of alcohol for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it's it is a bit troubling when you have to start a sentence with "I'm not an alcoholic, but."
I mean, if I was an alcoholic, I'd be going through withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's more that it's just alcohol, as we've discussed, is literally poison.
Mm.
So it's one of those things where it's just
alcohol is also one of the earliest inventions of mankind, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, it's that's not in any way surprising.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was an accidental invention at first, caused by some invented
I'm
grain
pretty
or
sure
something.
it was invented before mankind was mankind. Mainly because even
It's fermentation.
apes make alcohol.
Oh no shit.
Wait, did you not know that?
Not off the top of my head. I might remember it decently, but I don't remember it very well if I did.
Yeah, no, there's several species of ape across the spectrum from of intelligence that just leave fruit to ferment and then get smashed. Monkey wine is what they call it. It's it's a thing. But yeah, there's apes today that do it. So, in all likelihood, human beings have been doing it since before we were maybe even walking upright.
That's possible, yeah.
Probably Australopithecus was doing it before.
Australopithecus?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, probably those guys were probably doing it.
Yeah, I feel like well, alcohol predates humanity. It's likely that we only came up with more efficient methods of making it.
Obviously, yeah, that is a result of a tool-using society, but or a tool-using species, but the fact that even in the modern day we've observed replicable observations of apes making their own fermented fruit wines does suggest that it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
Right? Chimpanzees have existed for a long time. So, I mean, if they were still making wine back in the day, then who's to say
it's possible that they learned how by observing humans. But yeah,
look into it, but there's gotta be populations that have low exposure to humans that still ferment fruit. There's gotta be.
I do.
Yeah.
From what I can recall, based on anthropological study, the three earliest inventions of mankind were fire, the wheel, and booze. So, yeah. I'm not certain if that's a guarantee or not. If that's guaranteed or not, but that's what I remember.
But yes, getting back on topic, Mill, you don't get to dodge the question.
No, I'd rather not answer because thinking about me dying is very depressing to me.
You don't think about dying all the time?
No. I try and avoid thinking about it because it depresses me. And funny thing is, I don't like being depressed.
I mean,
Yeah,
most people don't.
So I take it you're not looking forward to it at all?
No.
What about you, Jack?
I mean, I'm not hankering for my death at all, so...
Just me then, huh? Well, I have possibly the most depressing answer.
Oh boy.
Leaving the whole looking forward to it thing aside, which is a totally different conversation. The question is largely irrelevant for me because most likely my cognitive and or mental faculties are going to be gone before, like, long before it's even relevant.
Oh, Jesus. You have, like, a family predisposition to, degenerative brain disease or something?
Not strictly degenerate brain diseases, but mental illness leading to, complete cognitive crash.
Hmm.
My grunkle who has by everyone in the family been described as the member of the family most similar to me, did in fact have a lot of the same mental illnesses and then crash sometime in his 50s and never recover.
Hmm.
So it's like, a friendly reminder, you do not need a physical degenerative brain disease to show symptoms of a degenerative brain disease.
Scary thought. I did have... My grandmother did develop dementia, and it was very painful, so... My greatest fear is developing that illness myself. Like, I would just rather die than suffer
so
from
the
that.
thing is, especially in the modern day, there are a lot of obviously there's no cure, so to speak, but there's a lot of preventative measures that you can start taking even now,
Uh-huh.
which I would absolutely like. I don't know them specifically, but I've been talking to my mom about this because she's got a family history as well. But like, even if you're in your like late 40s, early 50s, you can start taking preventative measures
How
that
much
will.
older than us do you think Jack is, Fuzzy?
No, I wasn't talking about. I was talking about my mother in that scenario, not Jack.
I know, I was trying to inject some humor into this incredibly depressing conversation.
I'm taking it in a more uplifting direction. It is no longer like a lot of the worst effects of aging are no longer a guarantee because we have developed science enough that we have the science and the technology and the treatment that we can basically ensure we age well as long as we have an awareness of it and actively take those measures. So that's a win. That's more. Yes, no, it's relevant. But yeah, it's like we absolutely do not have to worry as much about the trials of aging as we would have even like a few decades ago.
That's good.
So wait, so yes, you can absolutely take that in a more positive direction. Would you like my ethical thought experiment discussion?
I guess.
Please tell me it's less depressing than what you were just talking about.
Now, I can't guarantee that. So I'm gonna
just use a soundboard to make things uplifting then. Don't mind
yes,
me.
no, this is related to a character I'm writing specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Where part of their deal at one point in their life is they can either have rationality or feeling, not both.
So you either get to be Spock or McCoy. You can't be Kirk.
I'm not a Star Trek person, so if that helps you, sure. And also, Spock is one of the most emotional characters in the series. I don't know what you're getting at.
Fuzzy, I don't know Star Trek. Also Fuzzy, makes deep cut Star Trek reference.
Look, I don't know Star Trek, but I read a lot of TV tropes in my youth.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure Star Trek and Spock specifically has its own Hoye page.
Yes. Regardless,
We have George Takei on the soundboard, Jack.
regardless, the archetype that Spock inspired, despite being, you know, actually a pretty emotional person, still falls in line with the whole much more most logical member of the main cast.
It's the whole it's the media literacy topic all over again, because it's the archetype he inspired is the surface level reading of his character.
Mm.
But like, I mean, like, in the most extreme way possible, in that this character, when they have emotion, has the, like, mental capacity of, like, a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it, like, non-verbal as well. Like, they cannot speak, they cannot really do any sort of complicated thinking. And when they have, like, cognitive capacity, they literally can't feel emotion.
Mm.
Or, like, anything, really. They can't taste or smell. They can't, or at least not taste or smell in any way that is not an analysis, a breakdown of the chemical composition of what they are consuming.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so, what are the ethics of that character being in a romantic relationship? Discuss.
So just explain
I'm
it.
blanking.
Explain it again.
Okay. Character has 2 modes. One in which they have very high cognitive capacity, but literally cannot feel any form of emotion or attachment or anything like that. And in the other mode, they have a full range of emotions, and also, but they have they are like non-verbal, low-functioning cognitive capacity of a 3-year-old. The cognitive capacity of a non-verbal, low-functioning 3-year-old.
So they can't feel anything at all. Any emotion.
No.
I mean, I'm sure you could approach a relationship from a logical perspective, and you know, as long as the other person was aware of this, then I guess.
No, I was more asking, what do you do in the event that I was asking not from the point of view of the person with this condition, but the point of view of their otherwise fully functioning partner. Like, what if the partner is they're not even in a relationship? What if someone is attempting to enter into a relationship? Assume that this is the dense as a black hole shonen protagonist, and the initiating party is the other party. How do they approach it from an in an ethical way?
Okay, I don't understand.
Person with issue is not the initiator.
Right.
So how does the initiator go about it ethically?
I mean, what percentage of the time does the person with the issue spend in each, you know?
Let's say 50-50.
Then I would.
Jack, do you have any thoughts while Mill is trying to articulate?
Is the
No, I cannot figure this one out. This one's just like a really odd ethical puzzle to me. I'm kind of blanking on it.
I usually get more mileage out of these topics. I guess I'll have to table this for later. There's another writing topic I could talk about, but that's like the related to writing a trans character, which I don't think this is exactly the right call for that. So yes, I believe I've gotten through my little notepad.
Congratulations. Hold on.
no,
I think I have the right soundboard thing for this. There we go.
I mean, now we can do a few more tier list streams so that I can fill out the notepad again. Tier lists and probably more JoJonopoly. We're gonna have to finish that game, Jack.
I am aware. I am aware.
We can give you a little buffer time. Also, next time, maybe next Thursday, do you want to see if we can do a four-person pirate carnival with Gen?
That would be fun.
Right, we haven't really revisited that, and it'll be fun to do it without AI.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Mill has the save file now, so we can do it on like a proper big map, which is much more fun because it leads to a lot more strategic decision making. For a PlayStation 2 Mario Party licensed Mario Party clone, that game has a surprising amount of depth. Also, how long have we been going?
Hour and a
Just
half.
shy of an hour and a half.
'Cause we do still have some time to kill.
So
Sadly, I have kind of run dry in terms of topics. So what have you y'all got?
I'm thinking. Hold on. I may have an idea. That will depend. So Fuzzy, you really haven't gotten back into anime at all as of late, have you?
No, but I've read a lot of manga recently, so possibly I have heard of the anime you're going to talk about.
No, it wasn't anything in particular. What manga have you gotten into recently? I'm curious.
I don't have a list off the top of my head because what I do is I just go on manga decks and I just scroll through latest updates.
And just pick something and binge it?
Well, yeah, if it's got a decent number of chapters, but a lot of the stuff on latest updates are just Twitter comics, right? Like, I don't know how to feel about the new Twitter manga meta, because there's some really good stories coming out of there, but also the format of like one-page comics is not. It just drives me insane. It is just not the way I like to consume my media.
Oh no, same. Also, like, they're very hit or miss in quality. And some are just outright trashy. Like, Twitter comics, Pixiv comics, all those. Just very,
A lot of Twitter comics are just advertisements for Fanbox.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where it's just like, hey, I'm gonna imply some things, and then you can go read the hentai on my Fanbox if you pay for it.
Yep, basically.
I
I kind of respect the hustle, honestly.
I do. There's a few I can recommend. Well, I don't know if I can recommend them, but there's a few I can think of off the top of my head that are very interesting. One of the funniest ones is Nick and Lever.
I
Are you
might have
familiar?
heard of that one before. I don't know.
It consists of a white man from Brooklyn with a pompadour and a black man living together in Japan.
Oh, that's funny.
Written by a Japanese author. So it's basically just a lot of exaggerations and visual gags. It's a gag series. It's just it does end quite quickly. Like it has 134 chapters, so it doesn't get too stale. But it's exactly what it says on the tin.
Mm-hmm.
It is exactly as gaggy as a more depressing, kind of two other not thought-provoking, but interesting ones are let me see what the Secret of the Alien and The Summer Hikaru Died. In which Secret of the Alien is it makes you think, oh, this is just a quirky romantic comedy in which a person decides to go out with someone, but it turns out they're an alien, and he's like, an alien is fine too. And it very rapidly turns into a psychological thriller for reasons that I will not spoil. It's very good. The art is good as well. It has gone in some directions that I don't know are for the faint of heart. And The Summer Hikaru Dies is similar. In that, it's about a guy and his best friend / boy he has a crush on, but cannot express because it's, they live in rural Japan. And, best friend dies. It's not a spoiler. It's literally, like, the premise of the series is that Hikaru has died, and now he has to learn how to live with Hikaru.
You without him?
No. It's a horror manga.
Ooh.
Hikaru went to the mountains, died, and Hikaru came back, but it's not Hikaru, if you know what I'm saying.
Ah, so he got body snatchered or doppelganged?
Something along those lines. It's very eldritch. There's definitely some body horror, cosmic horror elements. I would recommend it. It's a very good series. What else? Oh, okay. I'm getting back to my rant about how I believe I ranted about this in I can properly rant about this now that it's in voice call format. Why do series that tackle interesting material that is not very rarely talked about have to have awful endings? Or bittersweet at best?
I don't know.
Because, like, I was talking about it, I don't know if Mill saw this discussion, a series about Sensitive Boy, in which it features a male survivor of sexual assault, and him having to deal with PTSD and also the desire for a romantic relationship, while also dealing with the whole PTSD and fear of women that comes from that. And what ended up happening is two or maybe 3 volumes in, his story just abruptly came to an end, where it didn't have any sort of resolution, and just randomly he implausibly ran into the person who assaulted him in a convenience store and she attacked him with a knife that she got from somewhere. And that's just how his arc ended. Is just like, welp, I'm still miserable, but I guess I have to keep living, so, you know. And then it just pivots to his friend realizing that his Oshi, who retired, has been living next to him his whole life for some reason that is in a complete sort of wish fulfillment way. And it's just like...
wow, so it just completely pivots plots to just something completely unrelated.
Yeah. It's like, that's how bad it gets. And like, the pivot could not make it any more obvious that the author had more story to tell, but they just weren't making ends meet. And so they editorial pressure. Like, it's just awful. Another one is my senpai is a crossdresser. And again, it's the whole conflation of cross-dressing and being trans. It does, in fact, deal with someone who is, at the very minimum, gender non-conforming, and even the fact that she is well, I guess I should say they are gender non-conforming, does feel more like sort of editorial pressure to make it ambiguous rather than, yes, no, I am a trans outright. Right? Like, so, and the ending of that series, it's getting an anime adaptation, and it resumed serialization even, except the resuming of serialization is a prequel. But the end of the serialization before was just... It also had the perfect setup for a throuple that it just abandoned.
A what now?
A throuple.
A throuple?
Is that a throuple? Is that... I don't know how to say it, I've only seen it written. Where the main character's best friend just outright... A childhood friend, best friend, is a dude who outright is just in love with them. And then they meet a new person, a girl in high school, and there's also, like, major chemistry there. So there was a perfect... And they have great chemistry, those three together. It was a perfect opportunity for a throuple. It was right there. And the ending was... They kind of went... It was a non-ending. Right? Like, there was no real emotional closure. They didn't really properly address their relationships with each other, and kind of just like, well, I guess it's a new year of high school. Moving on. And like, there's an implication that they drifted apart a little bit, and it's just like, why? Why does it have to end like that? It's just... I'm tired, because it's rare enough to find... Like, there's some increases in media about trans individuals, but, like, the story about a male survivor is like finding a unicorn, and I'm just like, why would you have to just make it misery porn?
Yeah, no, like, I do know of a couple other ones about male survivors, but they are survivors of, you know, being taken advantage of by men, and they're also yaoi manga.
Yes, no, that's an entirely separate genre, I think.
Yeah. The ones that come to mind off the top of my head, I haven't read either of these, but I know of them through osmosis. Banana Fish and A Cruel God Reigns are the two that I can think of.
I'm pretty sure both of those did not go in a good direction.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they're both very dark, tragic stories. And not pleasant reads if you're not, you know, able to deal with that. But I'm not super familiar with either of them. I just know of them by osmosis, so I can't say anything for certain.
Oh, there's another one that I started reading recently, which is just like it's it's I guess you could almost call it a deconstruction of Yuri, in which it's a series that start about two girls that starts with them in middle school and goes all the way up to their adult lives. And I saw some red flags, and I'm glad I looked at the spoilers beforehand, because one of the main characters is the infuriating I am in denial sort of characters. And apparently, she straight up just gets married to an abusive man at some point in the series.
The fuck?
Just out of sheer denial. So I'm just like, why would you do this? What is... I guess that's like the logical conclusion of like a more realistic take on the living in denial character. But it's just like, can we not just have it be pleasant? Because, like, why does it have to be realistic? Why do we insist on realism?
Because because realism automatically makes a piece of art better, don't you know? Fucking hate people who think that. There's also something like, I've noticed a lot of Japanese art like has a theme of impermanence, which is a cultural thing that I don't really vibe with, personally.
Oh yeah, no, it's why people who become powerful enough to kill gods still die of old age while their immortal lovers have to cope with that. Because it's like... that. I know it happens in Mushoku, and Mushoku is a bad series, but there are good series where that happens.
Like, on the one hand, I do kind of get it, because, like, if you're going to be remotely, like... if you're not going to be like, hey, I want to have all these characters just be together for all eternity and so on and so forth, and you want to just, like, have something approaching normalcy for, like, different lifespans, I can kind of understand that, but at the same time, like,
it makes a lot less sense when magic powers get involved.
You can make up bullshit to allow for a happier ending. There is nothing stopping you but your own writing.
There's one series where it happened, but it was justifiable, called The Elf is a Freeloader, where it didn't happen in the series proper, but in the sequel series, The Elf is a Freeloader was a reverse isekai. So it made sense there that in the sequel series, the titular elf outlived her husband and just went back to her fantasy world. And in the sequel series is a proper isekai. But it is also about the sequel is about a man who bangs his parakeet. But that's an entirely different story.
What?
Listen. Japan.
You can't just, like, breeze past that part, Fuzzy. What the hell?
Basically, his family died, leaving him with no living relatives or support system except his parakeet, which is the only thing that kept him alive, and then his parakeet died. And then, so he basically, I don't know if he committed suicide or just, like, laid down in bed and stopped doing anything and waited for death. But as it turns out, his parakeet reincarnated as a hot saintess in another world, so it's okay to bang her now. It's complicated by the fact that the parakeet has memories. After reincarnating as a human, she has all of her memories of her time as a parakeet. And he still calls her by her parakeet name, and there's this... It's really weird, guys.
Okay, I have just one phrase to say to the author of that.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
But yeah, the sequel
Can I
series
just-
does.
Can I just say,
Yes.
Fuzzy, the fact that you read stuff like this is why we think you're a masochist.
Okay, here's the thing. I read the first chapter of a lot of stuff. Right? I am a believer in the 3-episode or 3-chapter rule. I just look for stuff on novel updates, and if it has tags that interest me, I'm just like, okay. I was looking, so I was in that case looking for fluffy romances, so I put in the fluffy romance tags, and that is just something that yes, the romance is fluffy. Is it built on an incredibly weird premise? Yes, but I gave it 3 chapters just to see. But yes, it does feature that. But yes, that is a case where it's at least justifiable, to get back to the whole impermanence point. But in a series that features a fantasy realm where magical powers exist and people become strong enough to physically chop mountains in half, and yet their lifespan doesn't change, that's what I take issue with.
Like, if you want to just have it such that they're mortal so that they don't become 2 hacks, like, you know, Dragon Ball bullshit, I get it. If it's like everyone is mortal except for the like divine entities above everyone else, that's fine. But if it's like the main cast has unequal lifespans, and you have a magic system that does allow for just flexible bullshit,
yeah,
in any way,
so
shape, or
just
form.
In any sort of scenario where you have a mystical energy that enhances people, I'm sorry, that's going to increase your lifespan. With the level of enhancement that you're showing, the human body would just change and last longer. Because human aging is actually a relatively fixable problem, to the point that we already have technology that can slow it down. It's like a relatively uncomplicated problem with straightforward solutions. So yeah, any sort of healing magic, for example, that is lossless, which most things are, right? The vast majority of series have healing magic that does not cause a loss in lifespan, explicitly. That, by itself, like a daily shot of healing, would prevent you from aging.
At some point, it's very clearly just the author not wanting to bother with logistics of that.
Yeah, so it's just like, not a fan.
I understand, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, you want me to, like, look in my novel updates bookmarks and see what other stupid nonsense I've read?
Oh, please do. We have about 10 more minutes to kill.
Yeah, because it's like... but like, are you guys really still not immersed enough in the Weebosphere that a man bangs his own parakeet is strange to you?
It's not that that premise in of itself is out there for anime. It's that it's not something either of us have really encountered. And it is a bit odd.
Well, now you know that there's at least one of those out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's something that might make you interested in exploring, just so you can just stare at the ceiling and contemplate the idiocy of some people in the past. Have you ever heard of men's adventure magazines?
No, but just the concept of past and men's magazine immediately makes me curious.
So, back in like the 50s and 60s, there were these men's adventure magazines that were basically like full of weird bullshit, sci-fi, fantasy stuff, and as well as just like more mundane shit. almost always power fantasy shit, and it's for primarily American men in the 50s and 60s, so you can probably imagine all the problematic shit that's going on in there.
Yep.
But it is almost certainly an interesting time capsule of just, like, the attitudes of the era, and also, like, what kind of fiction people sought out in that era because of their, because of the cultural attitudes of the time. It's just something you can think about. Apparently, if you go to the Internet Archive and you look up men's adventure magazines, you can find a good, like, 60-odd issues of the old magazines. And just
I think that's
explore
good.
that.
Like, despite, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a masochist.
You know what? That's smart. I just thought I'd raise your attention to that, to the existence of that.
It is not appreciated.
Why is it appreciated, Mill?
I do not have an answer to that that's not depressing.
I am sorry. If it makes you feel better, I know about a lot more depressing stuff. It probably doesn't make you feel better, though.
No.
What were you going to say, Fuzzy? I know you wanted to talk about the,
I can't think. So apparently, I don't bookmark the trash, which makes
understandable.
a lot of sense in hindsight. I'm looking through my manga dex bookmarks to see if there's anything.
Doesn't it at
weird.
least, like, keep track of what you've read?
Oh, by bookmarks I mean they're bookmarks in my browser tab. I don't think it counts at these sites. Are you crazy?
You know what? Fair. I mean, I am crazy, but that's besides the point.
But yeah, Oh, there's another very interesting story I've been reading recently.
Uh-huh.
A manga called Missing Girl.
Uh-huh.
It's very difficult to describe without spoiling, so I would just look it up. But it's very dark, very weird. It's like, I don't know how to feel about it. I think it's one of those series where I'm not gonna have because there's so much going on. I don't have I'm not gonna have a real opinion until the series is done. It is ongoing.
Ongoing series are always the hardest to, like, get a beat on, just because, yeah, you don't know how the series is going to end. And as we can all attest, it is very rare for a series to well and truly stick the landing. It is depressingly rare.
It is hard, yeah.
It is not an easy task, if we are being honest with ourselves.
Yeah, I'm just like... Okay, this is just a very, Oh, yes, there's another series that is, I've been reading recently, and it's just like, there's so many of these. For some reason, there's 2 of these that are serializing right now. And, they are the prime example of why a cat is fine too is a meme. Man bangs his cat.
God damn it!
Because the
No!
because the cat turns into a human. One of them is inexcusable because the cat was just a cat before it died and then turned into a human magically for some reason. The other one is somewhat more sensical in that it features a turbo nerd who hates human beings but loves cats. And he has a classmate who has a crush on him, and she has the power to turn into a cat. So she's a human first, and then a cat. So that's somewhat more acceptable. And the comedy is the fact that he loves her when she's a cat and cuddles up to her and does cat person things. And the moment she turns back to human, he's like, ew, gross, get away from me.
I guess I can see the humor in that. Kinda.
It's a Yonkoma. It's a 4-panel. There's a lot of visual gags and stuff. So you'd have to actually read it to see if it's for you. But the title is "Even a Cat's Paw Can Be Useful."
Yonkoma are a funky series.
Yeah.
I mean, I posted about the, or I posted the tweet that got me interested in the Twitter manga that I read recently. The guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm also caught up to that.
And yet you tell us about the fucking guy fucking his cat and fucking his parakeet.
We already had a discussion in the server about that one, so I figured there's no need to repeat it.
I would have rather just repeated the discussion.
Well, okay, I do have a word of praise for that series. It did have a realistic reaction to the reveal. Like, I'm sure there were some people who were saying it was, like, overly dramatic or stretching, but, like, if you are crushing on someone and it turns out their gender is not what you thought it was, and that leads you to having a lot of questions about yourself and being kind of upset that they were hiding such a major thing, especially when you know each other outside of the cross-dressing context, it is understandable that she reacted the way she did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to read that at some point.
There's
It's very short.
On the subject of,
It's very short. There's only like 72 chapters, and they're all
very short chapters.
Yeah, they're
I
like
imagine.
4 pages each.
So it's yeah. I could probably
there's
do that in like an afternoon.
there's one that I really like. That is work-life on-off or something along those lines.
What animal does the guy fuck this time?
No, it's more similar. It's more in the vein of the one we were just talking about, in which 2 colleagues in an office do not really get along with each other. The dude is the charismatic sort of swag man of the office. Not in the sexual harassment way, more in the just everyone likes him because he's charismatic and he like is friendly and sociable. Mm-hmm. And the lady is the strict, very plain Jane office lady. And when they're off work, the lady goes full punk rock. Tattoos, piercings, goth, torn jeans, everything. And the other person dresses in full gothic Lolita.
Huh, neat.
Where? And let me find this because it's a very good series. It's also a Twitter series that's like one-page Twitter series that got an official serialization. So
There's a lot of those.
yeah, Company and Private Life on off. There it is. See, this is the official serialization. You can find the. You can the thing should be in the related page. I'll post it in the chat.
Yeah, let's post it in the Discord.
Yeah. I just want you to. The art is gorgeous. Is why I like this a lot, and just look at the. I just want you guys to like look at the cover, or like at the first chapter of the web series or something. The art is amazing. But yeah, it's one of the ones that I've really liked recently. If we're gonna go back into the weird ones,
Please no, we've hit 2 hours now.
okay, well, yes, let's leave on a really good series, which is they kind of don't get along at all in the office, but then they meet IRL and they like really like each other. And
So, like,
then,
grown up Horimiya, basically.
I'm not sure. But yes.
Okay, then.
It just, I would give it a... Just look at some of the art, and you will see why I like the series so much.
I mean, I did take a quick look at the art, and it does look pretty good. But yes, we should probably...
Yes, so let's call it then.
Okay, so thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. In terms of future stuff, Saturday, I believe... Might you be doing a solo stream, Fuzzy?
Possibly, it will depend entirely on my schedule. So no guarantees, because my schedule is not really under my own control.
Well, it'll either be completely an off day for us or Fuzzy doing a solo stream. Sunday, there hasn't been any chat yet, so we need to find out for sure, but it might be D&D again.
If it's not D&D, like, try and let me know on Saturday so I can figure out...
yeah, will do.
Well, we would be doing the tier list if we don't do D&D.
Yeah, no,
Or
no,
Jojonopoly. Don't forget Jojonopoly.
We can probably do both at the same time, honestly.
Tuesday will be something gaming or tier list or whatever, and Thursday the same. Otherwise, again, thank you for watching. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Like and subscribe if you've not already. Plus, leave a comment down below and press that bell icon to get notifications when we upload a new video.
And otherwise, hopefully we will see you when we see you. Good night.
Bye-bye.